back to the show. Aloha, this is Pili, and I have an amazing guest today. I actually had the honor of having breakfast with this gentleman. Wow, it feels like decades ago, but it was really just a few years ago. So much has changed since then. So I would like to welcome Alix Kogan. Alix, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Pili. Great to be here.
So awesome to have you. So everyone, Alix has been involved in real estate, construction, and development for the last 20 years. Alix started his career in Colorado, funding his own high-end construction company and grew it to be the largest and most successful firm in Southwest Colorado. Yes, the most successful firm. After 20 years in Colorado, Alix had a successful sale and liquidity event in the late 2019. And I think we talked about that. That was huge. Shortly after starting his own building company in 1999, Alix started investing in real estate with single-family spec homes, single-family rentals, commercial and multifamily rentals. Over the last 15 years, Alix has successfully completed several townhome, mixed-use, and single-family development. Alix owns over 1,700 apartment units as an LP, co-GP, and KP, and self-manages his portfolio of single-family rentals, as well as a small portfolio of commercial rental properties. In addition, Alix invests and owns a substantial portfolio of mortgage notes. Alix has had various multifamily experiences with building, owning, and managing assets. Alix has also broad-based experience and knowledge of multiple real estate asset classes, and is focused full-time on growing his private equity real estate firm. Welcome, Alix.
Well, that was a mouthful.
Well, you've done so much just in the past 20 years. So let's go back. Let's go back 20 years. You have this amazing construction firm. Why take it the next step? Why liquidate? Why?
Yeah, well, it was certainly an evolution. I guess it's almost, I guess I need to update my deck because I think it's actually been almost 23 years. But anyway, I started out just following my passion, which is designing and building beautiful homes. And we were lucky to build a great firm with architects, designers, and builders and have a great run. But along the way, I realized that I needed to invest, and I was fortunate place to be making great capital and living under my means and looking for a place to put it. And what happened was I bought and built and assembled my own portfolio of random assets, and ultimately that turned into this really its own business and job. And of course I made the transition to the multifamily, which we'll get into in a minute. And then my life changed, and that was really the impetus for selling. And that was, I had a kid late in life, I got married, and we decided to move back to the Midwest, to Chicago, where I'm from, to raise Aiden and to be closer to family. And while I successfully ran that firm remotely for a few years, it was time, and I really wanted to focus singularly on multifamily and not be spread too thin with having this, good-sized company in Colorado, living in Chicago, and all that madness, and living my life on a plane. I mean, I'd fly to Chicago, to Colorado, once or twice a month, and it was just too much. So that was really, part of the plan. Is I've always said, it's a cliche, but it's certainly true that if you have a company, most of the time it becomes a job. And if it can run by yourself, it becomes something that's really a company. It's not just a job. And then ultimately, if you can sell it, then it's truly the definition of a company. It's saleable, that has value. And that was always my goal, is to get it to that point where either it runs on its own and or I can sell it and monetize it. And I was fortunate, right time, right place, and sold in 19.
Let's talk about that a little bit more, about the difference between having a job, being self-employed, creating a business, and creating a bankable business, a sellable business. Can you dive a little bit deeper for my listeners who are just starting, who are just getting into being a business owner and being an entrepreneur?
Yeah. It's not, I think it's very similar in in a lot of different businesses, whether it's multifamily, construction, whatever, convenience store. You start out, and as I started out, I was wearing my tool bags, and it was me, and it was one employee, and it was, it's like, if I was sick, tomorrow, then the business sort of suffered. If I closed the door, the business would stop. So that I had a job, really. Ultimately, I had a glorified job, and I had more responsibility and more stress than I had been if I was working for somebody else. But that's the evolution. That's where you start. You bootstrap it and you grow it. And my business fortunately took off quickly, and I was able to scale and hire people and build systems and processes to the point that eventually it became something that I could take 2 weeks off, and the business wouldn't skip a beat because we had systems and processes in place. Now, my business still relied a lot on me, right? Because it was my name on the sign, on the door, and people wanted to come and talk to me. And so that was really the next evolution of the company, is to pull myself out of the business, that they came to see the brand, and it wasn't necessarily Alix, it was my team. And that sort of was the next phase of the business, where it didn't rely on me as much. And then slowly it really got to a place where I think I could have, been more of a consultant and spent a day or two on the business a month. And that's when you actually have a business, right? Because that's value. Somebody could come in and say, it's not Alix, it is a company, it's a brand, it's systems and processes, and there's value to that. Somebody else could say, okay, I'll just sit in Alix's chair, I'll write Alix a check, and I'll be able to monetize this opportunity and continue its growth. And that's ultimately what happened. I could have kept it, and it was a very difficult decision because it was my legacy, and it was a team that's been with me for many years. I struggled. I struggled with, giving up your identity that you've had for 20 plus years, right? And my biggest fear is, if I sell it, who am I, right? Because it's like overnight, it's gone.
Deeper, Alix. Let's hear it, because there are other business people out there who are in that position that you are, that are like, I could sell my business right now, but who am I without this? How did you come to, or have you answered that question?
I think for me, as I started, what started as a side hustle and multifamily and all this stuff, quickly became much more of a business and business opportunity. So I saw that transition. I saw that path. I saw who I was going to be on the other side of this. And so it was easier for me to sort of let go of who I was in terms of my identity to who I actually wanted to be. And for me, it became easier because I didn't want to be responsible for 50 employees. I didn't want to be responsible for that. I wanted to have a small boutique team and not be so big and complicated. And multifamily provided that. I could have employees that are in New York, wherever, and we can work remotely, and somebody can get on a plane and go look at an asset. And we were not so tethered to this one place. And so anyways, long way of answering your question. I could see the other side of it, and it was easier to let go. And truth be told, when somebody is waving a good sized check in front of you, it also makes it easier.
So let's talk about that next good sized check, which became multifamily. You've kind of dug into your evolution into it. Dig a little bit deeper. Tell us how you went from solid business owner, brick and mortar business owner, to this thing called multifamily.
Yeah. So, for me, it was, I think much more, if I think about it now, much more gradual, because, I owned so much real estate along that ride of 20 years. So I didn't know that I was preparing for this, but I was, right? By default, I looked at real estate, I underwrote real estate, I owned it, I managed it. And while it was a different asset class, because a lot of it was scattered site, single family, duplexes, triplexes, 10s, 20s, some mixed use, some lofts, some townhomes, some condos. I mean, it was just this, random portfolio. I was preparing myself for multifamily and realizing what is a pain point in that side of the business and how I can solve that pain point, right? And all things pointed towards multifamily. So I think my first large multifamily deal that didn't happen was 10 years ago. My brother and I had something under contract in Wisconsin that was 350 units, low-income housing. And it was a long, drawn-out deal, and I won't get into the drama that ensued, but it allowed me to see and underwrite and really see the opportunity in multifamily. That deal didn't go forward for a good reason, but the light bulb went off, and I said, okay, so what did I do? I started investing in multifamily as a limited investor, starting 10 years ago, and then that evolution came, and then people came to me and they said, hey, would you like to join us in our partnership? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you want me to do? And that evolution, evolved into a story you've heard many times, I'm sure. I started joining the general partnership side. I started helping them with some consultation on construction because of my background. I started helping them raise equity because of my investor base and my relationships for over 20 years. I started helping them as a KP in terms of my net worth liquidity, securing agency debt. And all this just kind of snowballed. So I was investing more, I was partnering more. And then, the natural evolution of I sold my company, and I found myself in a place where I can do this. And now, we obviously, that we're a lead sponsor and have bought a lot of assets and are growing and having a lot of fun, and all with a very small team and not the madness of a 50-person company.
I love it. And it feels like you've just gotten bigger and you've taken that LP to GP to KP, LMNOP. So I was about to get all my letters mixed up. So, and I love, listeners, if you're listening to his story right now, he started with a hammer in his hand. Alix started with that hammer in his hand, and he built his company from ground up, saw the next level evolution, and took the steps needed to get himself to the next level. And Alix, it sounds like you didn't do it on your own. Did you have mentorship? How did you learn the steps that you needed to take in your multifamily journey?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it started 20 years ago, really. I guess in all fairness, I have to give credit to my family. I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family. My dad was a builder developer. My brother is a builder developer. So it's in our genes. And nobody in my family has had like real sort of corporate jobs, right? We've always been scrappy entrepreneurs. So for better or for worse, what that did for me is I had no fear and I had no other sort of option. That was in my DNA to go out and to create and to be an entrepreneur. And that could be dangerous, right? Because that no fear could get you in trouble. Thankfully, I'm pretty analytical and I'm pretty risk averse. Risk averse in terms of like, I'm always measuring, right? You have to take risk as an entrepreneur, which obviously I do, but it's measured, right? I'm always saying, what's the downside? What's the upside? And that really helped along the way. And then as you grow, you got to surround yourself with people much smarter than you and complementary skill sets. And that was a big focus of mine. So I had a great CFO that took the journey with me for 16 years. I think he was with me. Coincidentally, he's now joined my new firm. He retired from the firm that I sold, and that was great having him on board. But yeah, surrounding yourself with great people, knowing what you don't know, and bringing in consultants along the way. And then as far as multifamily, I think there is no substitute for just doing, right? For some people, it is like, go buy 17 books and read them. And some guys, it's, go buy 17 masterminds and boot camps and conferences. And all those things are great. And I think that they complement everything you're doing, right? It's another data point. But for me, I'm a very much hands-on learner. So I walk before I run, right? So as an LP, as a co-GP, you have visibility into how a multifamily asset operates, and that's what I've done. And I just kind of learn as you go, and I'm learning every day, and that's what I love about this business. You learn consistently and endlessly.
And it sounds like you not only learned, you implemented, because so many people that go through, like you said, the books, the courses, even coming in as an LP and moving yourself up, you can learn so much, but unless you implement, and it sounds like you've made a lot of implementation, a lot of action in your life, nothing's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, that's it. I think a lot of people, they're deer in headlights. They don't know where to start. They don't know what to do next. And I'm always like one foot in front of the other, right? Just keep going. And partnering with people, I think has also been great, right? Because when you partner with people, you get exposure to more markets, more wins, more issues, right? We learn more from our issues than we do from our wins, from our successes. So, how do you pivot in a business plan? And I've loved that. I've loved, as we help some younger entrepreneurs that are trying to get into multifamily with our helping them get a loan and helping consult. And that provides us this amazing opportunity to be looking over their shoulder and saying, okay, how's the CapEx project going? Are you able to raise rent? Are you, is it sensible to do washers and dryers and all these things? And I am a huge benefactor of all that because, your data set is so small when you are in half a dozen markets. But when you partner with people, all of a sudden you're in 24 markets. Anyway, so that I think that's been good for us. And I encourage others, don't wait until you can afford to sort of buy your own deal, partner with somebody, partner with you guys, with us, and get to work, right? Get exposure.
Partner with someone and get to work. That's going to be the title of this podcast. Partner and get to work, everyone. So Alix, before I let you go, and this has been amazing, how can the people find you?
So it's ashlandcapitalfund.com. Alix with an I, my strange misspelled name, ALIX, at ashlandcapitalfund.com.
Fantastic. Alix, thank you so much for joining me today. You are amazing. And again, everyone out there, partner and take action, whether that partnership is with a book, whether that partnership is with mentorship, or whether that partnership is with someone that can take you to the next level. Make that partnership happen and take action. So grateful to you for listening and have an amazing day. Bye now.